Trick or Treat is a 2007 horror comedy directed by Michael Dougherty, and it's starring Anna Paquin, Dylan Becker, and Brian Cox, just to name a few. The film follows a lot of different characters, and their stories interconnect, and you have characters from different stories playing in the background of other stories, and it's really cool how they did that. So it's a kind of an anthology in a way. It all takes place on Halloween night, and in this small town you have ghosts, you have murderers, you have werewolves. It's a lot of fun. This was actually my first time watching this movie, so I watched it a couple nights ago, and I had a really good time with it. A lot of people had recommended it before, but I just never got around to it, and so I sat down, it's a very quick watch, and I watched it. The first thing I'll say is that it is R-rated, but it feels like it could be PG-13. Like, this movie almost feels like it's made for teenagers, kind of like the Are You Scared of the Dark? Is that what that movie was called? What was that movie that came out? Scary Stories. I think that's what the movie was called. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Besides that, if you're not really into horror or if you're not really into scary movies, this movie, kind of like Coraline, might be a great gateway into the genre of horror for people that aren't really fans of being scared. You have very subtle comedic elements, and when the horror is there, it's there. It's a good time for sure. So I mentioned Dylan Becker is in the movie, and if you remember, he was in Sam Raimi's original Spider-Man trilogy. He played Dr. Kirk Connors. Anna Paquin's also in this movie, and she was in the original X-Men playing Rogue, so that's just kind of funny how we got people from superhero movies in here. Dylan Becker was so fun in this role as this murderous dad who just hates children, and he's a principal of a school too. And then Dylan Becker has this crotchety old neighbor who has this little guy running around in his house destroying shit and causing a ruckus, as they say. Nobody says that. So Anna Paquin, she is dressed up as Red Riding Hood, and she's going around with her group of friends. They're telling her that she needs to find a man, and you're thinking the whole time like, oh, like she's a virgin or something, and then like the end of her story, no spoilers, but I did not expect the arc of her and the other characters around her. Like, the things that happen in this movie, I could not predict. Like, the interconnected stories were so fun, and then you have these group of kids that are messing with this one girl who is she's a little more strange, and they're messing with her, and they play this really mean practical joke on her. And then these like ghost children from this bus crash like come out and start basically killing these kids, I guess. But then she gets away because, you know, she's the nice, strange little girl. But then you have this guy. I don't remember what his name is. He's got some sort of name. He is the beau on the present for this movie, and it just worked really well. This movie has such fall vibes. It kind of reminded me of the way that Monster House, if you've seen Monster House, you know what I'm saying. It has very fall and very Halloween-y vibes, and I said Halloween-y. So the actors do a great job in this movie. Even the kid actors, they do a fantastic job. But Michael Dougherty actually does a great job directing, and he's only directed a handful of things. He directed Krampus from a few years back, and I'm kind of on the fence about that movie. I saw it a couple times, and I thought it was a fun time. It's also a horror comedy, but it's set at Christmas time, and I'm a huge fan of Christmas horror films, so I think Trick or Treat is a much better film than Krampus is, and it kind of just delivers on everything. All the stories connect very well. It just works. But I heard they're making a sequel to this movie, and I don't know if that's still happening, but I would love to see a sequel to this. It was actually a very nice surprise. If you don't want a movie that's really scary, then this is probably the movie for you. It could just be that I'm just desensitized as a horror fan, but this just has a bunch of fun elements in it that's just guaranteed for a good time. I'm gonna give the movie 3.5 out of 5 stars. Thing I'll say is it's not super scary to me, so that's also what kind of brings brings it down a notch, but I can't really knock that. I mean, it's objectively a really good film, so you should go watch it. Thank you guys for continuing to watch, and I'll catch you in the next episode of 31 Days of Horror.